Annyeonghaseyo. Guys, it's Wet. Today we're diving into the newest addition to the First Descendant roster, Ines Raya. I have been testing her for about a day and a half, and I really enjoy what I see so far. I've got builds for both modules, Plasma Ball and Time of the Hunting Hounds. I will show the builds and also show how each performs in 400% infiltration. Now, if you are here to find out about whether Ines Raya is a problem for the game or not, I will address that in a later portion of the video. Timestamp is in the description. So, without any further delay, let's get to it. First is how to unlock Ines. To unlock Ines Raya, you can either pay for it in the shop or grind for it in the Void Vessel mission. That's on hard difficulty. Here's a little cheat sheet for you to see the drop chance for every part. Though it says 15% drop chance when you look at each box in the Void Vessel terminal, in-game it mostly shows 20% whenever you kill a boss. Not really sure why that is, but whatever it is, you can get it done. So in my opinion, it's not a bad grind, but help yourself by using the reward target system. For each part you need, make sure you use the target system. That way, you guarantee to have it once the failure meter reaches 100%. Here's how to target every part. Just go to the Access Info menu, and then just go to Descendant, and then find Ines Raya. She's right here, and whichever part that you want to target, just click on the part. And then here you will see that indication, this little thing that looks like a timer. Just press your trigger button if you are on controller, and that will put it as a target. And it will show in the access info like you see right here. This is just one example that I was using, but I've already got the character, so that really doesn't matter. So that's how you do it. That out of the way, let's talk about her skills. And to do that, I'm not going to read the skills description. Let's demonstrate them in the lab. I think that will be faster. So we set up the lab to 100 level enemy. And her first skill is Chain Lightning. Chain Lightning or any other skill that she has will put a debuff on the enemy called Conductor. So let me show you right here. So what Conductor does, it just makes the enemy take more damage. And then after a while, you're going to see they start exploding and stuff like that. So normally when you hit your number one, it bounces towards a lot of enemies. If it's just you and one enemy, it bounces between you and the enemy. But it all depends on the range. The amount of bounces that's going to happen is going to be based on your range. That's why if you see somebody using their build, they add more range because they want more bounces. So there's a total of 7 that you can get, then that's also dependent on your range. So that's how this works. The second ability is Lightning Conductor. So when you use it, not only does it put Conductor on the enemy, but it also had this little thing over their head, and it will chain and start doing damage to the enemies. So it is very powerful. It can kill the enemy, depends. Now the reason why they're not dying is because I put them on invincible. But a lot of time it depends on how strong the enemy is. One hit can kill them. It also a very good idea to use this whenever you're trying to build your plasma. So now the way the kit works for Ines, you are using your 1 and 2 to build plasma. And when you build plasma, you will be able to use your third ability and your fourth ability. You cannot use your third ability or your fourth ability unless you have plasma. So that's one reason, that's how you build your plasma with your number 1 and number 2. So every time they crit, then you get some plasma. And you also get MP. So now let's go to the third ability. Now, the third ability is called Discharge. So depending upon which module that you are using, which Transcendent module that you are using, it might have a different name. I will show you what I mean by that. So all it does is just charge your hands, and then it goes forward as a bolt lightning, and then just go hit the enemy. Now, it depends on which transcendent module you are using. It's going to behave differently. Like if I want to use it, this is what I would do. And you can see it goes. So you can just hold it. You can just go hold it. See, as you can see, whenever I use it, it takes away some plasma. So you can hold it and charge it just like this, and then it'll go by itself, or you can let it go. It does a lot of damage. Depends on how strong is the enemy. So it is a very good skill to use. But if you are someone that only spamming your first ability and your second ability, then you're not going to use it. And you need plasma to use it. And I'm going to talk about all this when we start talking about the build. So that is the third ability. Now, the fourth ability, which is also what you would call her ultimate, is called Snare Hunter. This one is really, really powerful. That's what you see. People are exploding things all over the place. And it also gives you speed. So the way it works, so if I put it on the ground, and wherever you drop it, then you're going to see a big circle on the ground. Now, when you use it, you can jump in the air and throw it. When you use it, you can see when it lands, you start doing all this damage. There's a circle inside and the circle outside. They both can do damage to the enemy. Depends on how big is your range. Now, the bigger the range, the better it is going to be for you, especially if you are playing in dungeons where they have a lot of enemies, so you cover most area. But the best thing about this is what can give you the speed. The speed at which you can go with this skill is insane. People cannot keep up with you when you are in this dungeon. It is really, really fast. That's the reason why you will hear people say this character is a combination of Bonnie and Freyna, because she has speed. I don't know if it's faster than Bonnie, but I know people cannot keep up with me when I'm playing this thing. But you need plasma to make it work. Without plasma, you cannot spam this. So that's the reason why we have different builds to actually make this work. But you will notice that a lot of people do not use their fourth ability very often because they do not have the plasma to do it, because the way they build. In any case, let me show you how this speed works. So I'm going to put it on the ground. Now, if I go to my character info, and you can see the sprint speed is at 1,200 or something. It increases. But if you keep this up, you're going to keep going and going. Now, on a regular basis, your sprint speed is like 800, right? That it shows right now. But whenever you use this ability, if you go to the info sheet, you can see that it goes up. Now, there are some things that you can do to actually make it go faster. Like, for instance, if you go to the inversion, you can see that there are some speed. So let's add speed. So with this character and everything that she's got in her kit, you can become a speed demon. So that's the reason why the fourth ability is very important, especially when you are clearing dungeons. I think that is enough for the skills. You just have to go out there and start playing with things, and you can see how this thing is amazing. Anyway, that out of the way, now let's talk about the builds. Now, guys, for the builds that I am using, first and foremost, your weapon must be the Secret Garden. Well, not must be, but if you want to maximize your potential, Secret Garden is going to be the way to go. Now, the reason being is because of the unique ability. Unique ability is pest control. And when it comes to pest control, you have boost in skill power. And if this is maxed out, then you are going to be doing a lot of damage. Now, the reason for that is because it says when you use a tech skill, it grants the unique ability pest control. And Ines is mostly about tech, depends on which transcendent module that you are using. So Secret Garden is the way to go. Now, for the reactors, you can find whatever reactor is going to best fit you, but I'm using skill critical hit damage and skill cooldown. So you can never have too much cooldown. And we have an implanted tactical rifle on there. And you can see that I have tech skill power and electric skill power boost ratio. This is not bad at all, but you can use different options. That is for mobbing. But if you are going to do boss, then I normally use this one. It's got skill critical hit damage and also extra damage to Colossus. That's when I'm going to use Defiler. And now for our components, you have two different options. Slayer set is what most people are using, but that is not my preference. Only when I am going to fight Defiler, then I prefer to use the Slayer set. But if you have the Slayer set, and I know not everybody's going to have Slayer set, and you can use the Slayer set, this is going to give you the most bang for your buck. With the Slayer set, you are going to do a lot of damage. Most importantly, for whatever build that use MP, your sensor has to be max MP. That's the most important thing. MP recovery in combat, very good. And then you're trying to get HP in all your components, but the Slayer set does not have HP in all components. So just prioritize the HP and whatever you can get. But as long as you get the 4 sets, then you're going to have that big boost in damage. Although you're going to have a negative in skill cost, but that really doesn't matter when it comes to the Slayer set. Now, the biggest drawback in this is the health pool. As you can see, the health pool is 12,000 here. That's the reason why I don't like this unless, it's mandatory for me to go fight a boss, then I'll use this. In any case, your second option for components is going to be like this. This is my preferred setup where I have max HP in all components. So max HP, MP recovery out of combat, and max MP, max HP, MP recovery in combat, and then max HP, and I got some defense on there, and also MP recovery modifier. And then max HP, I got some max shield, and then toxin resistance. And that's one part of the Slayer set, but it works out fine because I have max HP on there, so it works out good. Now, you can see the difference. My health pool is 24,000. That's double what I had with this Slayer set. That's the trade-off. But I prefer to use this because I am more tanky and I survive better. So that's the one I use. I am going to show you some comparison as far as how fast you complete things between the two sets, between the regular components and also the Slayer set. And you can see the difference. Now, for the builds, go to Descendant sheet. And the first one is going to be Plasma Ball. This is not a build that I see a lot of people using. A lot of people are not using this. That's because it is not superior to the other option that we have for her. So, but I use this. I really like this. This is very good. Now, the reason why I use this is because I wanted to test it out. And it turns out to be a fun way to play Ines. So what this does, it changes your passive, as you can see right here. Now, normally, let's say if I take this off, save it, this is where your passive would be. So with your passive, you got the skill critical hit rate increase based on your max MP. And a lot of good stuff, and you do a lot of damage with the skill critical, and that's glorious. However, once you use Plasma Ball, then that changed things. It changed your passive where it takes that benefit away. But what it gives you is defense. So you become tankier with this, and you are able to spam your third and fourth ability with the way this works. Now, I'm not going to read everything for you. I am telling you, this is really, really good. Just give it a try. You'll see what I'm talking about. And the way that I set this up, and I was able to clear the dungeon with no issues. And although it's not as fast as the Hounds, but it is good enough. Now, these are all the modules that we're using. This movement does not really matter. You can use whatever you want. But the most important thing about her, you need to make sure you got the cooldown. As you can see, we're using MP conversion, nimble fingers. We're also using focus on electric because that gives us a 6% cooldown. And then we have focus on tech. And for a total of 74.3, this is a very good cooldown to be at. And the rest of the module is skill insight, skill concentration. That's for your crit modules. And then we have skill expansion for some range. You always want range. And then for our survivability, I am using increased HP and also HP amplification. Now, this is my choice and this is my ideal way of playing characters in this game. Now, I could have had more health, but I think these two are okay with the components that I am using. So this is good. That's the setup that I'm using. And then to make sure that I am able to spam my third and fourth ability, I'm using potent collectors. This is going to allow you to have your resource, which is the plasma, as often as possible and as fast as possible. So I never had any issue with plasma. I'm always spamming those, and that's the way I play this character. Now, just take a look, and if you want a screenshot, that's what it is. Now, next is the one that everybody plays. For the Defiler, everybody use this setup. Just take a screenshot. I've seen everybody doing the same thing. Now, the only difference that you might notice is that I'm using an HP mod on there, and that is the increased HP. I don't like to play character with that survivability, but you can go full glass cannon like most people are doing. What most people are doing, they just put dangerous ambush on there instead of the increased HP, and then they go full glass cannon, no HP, and then they go fight the Defiler so they can make the fight go faster and get their clears. But that's not how I like to play, but doesn't mean it's not effective. If it works, then it works. So that's the build, the most popular one right now for Ines Raya. Now, our third build is going to be this one. This is playing the same way that I use the plasma ball. The only difference is that we are using the time of the hunting hounds. And you can use this build, both builds, with the two component setup that I showed you, either with the HP pool as big as possible, or with the Slayer set at half the HP pool. But everything else is the same. This is a replica of the plasma ball build. Nothing less, nothing more. Only difference is the Transcendent module. So those are the builds. And the main thing is I'm able to spam my third and fourth ability. Those are a lot of fun. That's the way I like to play this character. Now, that was all about the builds, guys. So now let's talk about whether Ines is a problem for the game. I bring this up because I have seen a few comments online where people are saying she's another Freyna. And I don't know if you guys remember, there was a big divide over Freyna when she first came out. And a lot of people wanted her to be nerfed. But the devs said no, they're going to fix this issue by using the content. So that way they make it whereas Freyna has to work for her money. So I personally don't think Ines is a problem because while she's strong at clearing ads, she's not as strong as Freyna, who can clear solo bosses in 9 seconds or less. But it seems like a lot of people are enjoying Ines right now, including myself. Now, seeing how powerful she is at clearing 400% infiltration, I can see why some players might feel some kind of way because it's pretty much the same Freyna situation. Remember when people used to complain about how when Freyna shows up in those dungeons, they have nothing left to do. Therefore, many players just probably opted to go play solo, or they have pre-made party of friends. And that way, they can have some agency over character selection. So I can totally see how that can be a problem. And that is really understandable. That said, what do you guys think? Do you think it's a problem for the game? Let me know in the comment if you feel like Ines Raya needs some adjustment or if she's perfect as is. Anyway guys, that is it for the video. I hope this was helpful. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more of this type of content. See you guys in the next one. 감사합니다.